We're on the air, okay.
Right, almost. Mr. Fitch, would you tell us a little bit about your activities you had with the label and so forth?
With my label?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had a couple of guys, or say one guy, come in here. Had just gotten out of the Korean War. He had written some songs, and he wanted to get them on record, see? So being a record store, he thought maybe I had some connections and with a record company, see? So I called Mercury Records, tried to get an appointment with them on it, and they kept putting me off, and then turned me down. And then I talked to Capitol Records, and they were going to send a man, he was supposed to be with a band that played it at the American Legion Hall here, or by the name of Jimmy Heap, and I was going to talk to this Capitol man then. But he didn't show up. So that made me a little angry, and I said, I'll just start my own label. And that's what started it right there. Are you going to pick up that sound?
This is, Mercury turned you down all the time?
So I started my own label, and I said, well, what was I going to name the label, see? Well, I haven't been in the military and had been called Sarge so damn much. I said, well, I'll just call it Sarge. And this, incidentally, was at that time was the Sarge, was the Air Force colors, blue and gold. So I adopted those colors and went and cut a record by him, and it was number 101 was a washout. So and then we made 102, and it didn't sound right. So we picked up another guy at 103 and started it. It had been Herbie Schozel. He had a band. So I took that band and took the guy that I started with. And we went down and cut some records using his band, see. And it went on like that. I didn't have a publishing company, so I called on Acuff Rose in Nashville, and they published my songs until I got to a point and I thought, well, why don't I just get my own publishing company? So I called BMI and just fill out the papers, and I did. And so I had my own publishing, Charlie Fitch Music, BMI. So that's about all it is to the beginning of it.
And what kind of music did you concentrate on?
Well, country and western, because it's more prevalent here and more liked here and more asked for here. And I was going to start in this area, and to be popular, you at least got to be popular in the area that you start in. See, if you start in a place and they dislike you there, you're not going to get any further. So I started to putting my records on jukeboxes and sending them to disc jockeys. What you saw on the wall over there was where I used to mail all my records to radio stations, see, which is a hell of an expense, especially on the old 78s, because it's a good thing postage was a little cheaper in them days than it is now. But I mailed them all over the country like that, and but to sum it all up, and starting in the record business and the publishing business, if you don't have radio contacts, exposure contacts to what you do, forget it. Because you can sit and make records all day long. If nobody will play them, there's nobody gonna buy them. Now, if you've got all the money in the world and you do it for kicks, well, that's all right. But and I had people coming to me from all over the country, and I'd audition them right here in this place here. And then if I liked them, well, we'd go to Houston and cut the session. And in those days, I sent my stuff to Los Angeles to Monarch Records for pressing and processing. And they'd ship them to you in a freight line. You go pick them up and bring them back, start putting them out, try to get somebody to sell them. I even sold them out of the back of my car. Go from town to town, or go from record store to record store, selling out of the back of my car. But you can't get these radio stations when their disc jockeys are infected with. I'm surprised that most disc jockeys don't have a great big mirror in front of them to love themselves, because it's everything with them is big I. When I was in Nashville, I was on a session with Webb Pierce. When I was in Nashville, I met Jim Reeves, and he took me out to dinner, all that kind of stuff. When these disc jockeys when they go to these conventions and stuff, they go to these places where they make records, usually the promotion people handle the tab for them, see? And that way, that underlying says, now you get back to your radio station, you know whose records are played.
Yeah. I was going to say payola.
That's what it amounted to. And that's why I wouldn't become a big label, is because I just couldn't get the airplay. My material wasn't bad. I've got some good material. Now, you talk about, you see this billboard here, and all the records that are here on it, see. And you say, well, all those made good, but how many of these that were made that never got here? We don't know that, see. Like the man says in Combat, me and my company took that place in 15 minutes. We overpowered and took it, see. How many men did you lose? Well, then that's a different story, see, how many men did you lose, see. But you attain the objective. It's the things like how many losers you got for how many winners you got.
Right. When you said you started.
Ist das ein Schlüssel für Ellens Auto?
Oh, Ellen hat auch noch ein Auto. Mr. Fitch, when you said you started with country and western music, it almost sounded like you did it just because it was popular, but it's not your real secret love or so.
It is.
But
my secret love. I like country. Yes, I like country. But I got into polkas and waltzes, and I got into a big thing that came out about that time was the rockabilly, and I got into rockabilly, and we sold a few records on rockabilly because not everybody was making it. See, and all rockabilly is a clanging guitar like Carl Perkins made, and mix up the words. But it's what they can do with their feet and their body that makes it a hit, because they like that rhythm, see. And so we made several of those rockabillys, which went over pretty good. Got play out of them and got a few sales out of it. But and then I've made records in, let's see, 6 different languages, I believe. I've made it in Mexican. I've made it in Bohemian. I made it in German. Let's see, and I got some Cajun. And let's see, and hillbilly. That's what they used to call this country and western music. Early was the hillbilly, see, because it came from the hills. And they had a banjo and a mandolin and a bass, and they didn't have any drums, they have a bass. And first session I cut, there was no drummer. I said, what's the matter here? Let's get a drum in this thing. And we put a bottom in it, with a drum, good heavy bottom. And of course, the bass can't do it all, and a rhythm guitar can't do it all. You got to have that bass drum beat in it, and snare drum, to make it really popular. Because, well, look at all of the big bands, the country bands today. That drummer's got more skin around him than what? Skin, and that's what we call it. A drummer's called a skinner.
Right. For us it was kind of news until recently that here's so much polka and humta music around. How does it come that it's so popular here and was?
You say is or isn't?
Is, I think it is. Or
it's not as much as it used to be, because the older ones are dying out and the younger ones don't care about it. They want a hot guitar or hot lead, a lot of screaming and hollering. And that old polka, oompa stuff, that's out for me. They don't like it, see. Of course, now, the older ones, when they first settled in this area, they brought their music with them. And most all of the polkas that we did was old stuff that was in there, catalog for years and years. In fact, it was brought from the old country here, and they continued to play it. So what do you don't care what you call a song if it's got the rhythm you want, see? And if you got that polka beat, they don't care what you call it, just as long as that polka beat's there, or the waltz beat, or the schottisch, or whatever. And those were terrific then, because the old timers were playing it, and their kids started playing it, see. But their kids nixed it because you don't have much, isn't like you used to. And most of these guys that you have in the big cities that are playing it are a lot of them the older men, but they got some young ones in it that want to stay with it because Papa did it, and I like it, and we go have dances, polka is fine, see. But there's a lot of them kind of getting away from them because I've had polka bands that put in a steel guitar. That's not a setting for polka music, a steel guitar. But you can play a polka tempo with it. So what the heck?
It's great that you just mentioned it because we just had a discussion in the car. What makes polka music? What do you think? What is essential for polka music, apart from the rhythm? Or maybe if you can explain it a little bit, including the rhythm.
Well, now we have, Adolf made polka records, but he never used any of the, oboes or saxophones or cornets or anything like that. Now, Adolf has recorded with a sax, yes, but it'd be a country number, or he's recorded with a, another instrument, trumpet. In fact, this right here. What did I call him?
Right.
Gabriel.
Right.
Isn't Gabriel the guy that blew the horn in the
Bible?
Yes. So he blew damn good horn, so I called him Gabe, and I put his name on the label like that. By his real name was Masak. Dave Masak. That's Dave Gabriel Masak. See? And I put on the label at the bottom of it, I'd say, trumpet by Gabriel. Give him a plug, like, because he played real good, and he done an imitation of. Golly, I'll think of. Hard to remember some of this stuff. It was. Who was the black guy with the trumpet? Yeah. He does an imitation of, with of Kansas City. It sounds just like him. He had a big stomach and he could way down, and he had a lot of chest. And he could blow that horn and hold it, and it's real good. Of course, now this is years and years ago. This is down the river. But this is places like this. Now, when I made this album, this is the members of the band at the time. This is his daughters here. This is a boy here in town. I made singles by him. And I made him the guest. We made him a guest on lead special guest, Cecil Moore, lead guitar. And this is what I tried to do with this album here, was to tell a story and pictures of the activities of Adolf. This is the bus. This is the record store he goes to. This is the place he plays. This is one of his guests. He was a disc jockey. And he's playing bass on the session. Tells a story. I don't like these albums. They come out, look like a bomb blast there, and that's all it is. What do you talk? Let's tell something here. And you got a program. I took the program and I made all the old dance steps, one after each other, and that way you wouldn't have to stop for somebody to sing a heart song or I lost my woman, see? So we'd have a Cotton-Eyed Joe, put your little foot, a polka, a schottisch, a waltz, then a rag, see? All on one side, and you could dance it. And that's, I don't know whether it sold the record or not, but that was my idea at the time, and I put the tearjerkers on the other side.
Do you think that there's a difference between all these different styles that came from Europe when they were played here to their European origins? You know what I mean? Like a polka or the polkas that had been played here, or the schottische and so forth, as opposed to the polkas being played in Germany or in Czechoslovakia.
I think it's it's how they do a. Let's refer to it as a polka tempo or a schottisch tempo. It's not so much as the instruments you use, as the results of the instruments that you. In other words, you don't want to say, well, now if I'm going to play a polka, I'm going to have an oboe or a bass horn in it, see, and stuff like that. Well, I made a record once and where the bass horn took a break in it. Sounds real good. You know, a lot of time musicians say the guitar takes a break, the fiddle takes a break, the trumpet takes a break. Let that oboe or let that bass horn take a break. Boom, boom, they sound good. But it's the delivery of it. How well you do it. Like a polka, if you're delivering it, let's use the basic polka instruments in your organization to do it. If you're going to play a polka at a country and western dance, let's use basic polka instruments. Of course, you don't have many there, but you can play a polka as Adolf did here. All of these records, the singles that I made by him, in the beginning, we'd put a polka on one side and a western ballad on the other side. See? What I'm doing is I'm giving the location where he can play a polka and he can play a sad song too, see, for the same quarter. And if you say I'm going to play a waltz, let's use your best instruments to do it. It doesn't mean you've got to go out here and get a different instrument because it's a waltz instrument or a schottisch, or you want to get a different instrument to do it. Let your band do it your best and play that schottisch or that polka or that waltz and do it that way. A lot of them, I'll tell you why, a lot of them don't want to play waltzes and polkas. See. Oh, that's the old timers used to do that. We don't want to do it. But there's nothing as beautiful in dancing as a waltz.
Except the tango.
well, that's true too.